What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jacked Ramsays post-game show. Danny Meringue, Brandon Sprague. Ladies and gentlemen, Blazers win 136-131, shattering the over of 226. Shout out Vegas for just keeping it rolling for us. But speaking of keeping it rolling, Trae Young, 56 points, 14 assists in a loss. Anfernee Simons, a career-high 43 points, 9 made three-pointers, 7 assists, handful of rebounds. Nassir Little, 22 points, 9 rebounds. Jusuf Nurkic, 21, 12, and 5. But let's go ahead and do this. Alexander LaChance right out of the gate. Park the tank for a night, boys. Absolutely.
We talked about that in the pregame. We were not the pregame. The before we went on live was, Danny had said, I know they're not good. We know where they're ultimately going to be, but it's nice to have these games sprinkled in. And that's the thing is they're not Detroit. They're going to have some nights like this where they play great basketball or they have somebody just go off. And you know what? Like ultimately, to me, it's not going to keep me up at night. Like enjoy these games when you get them. Because when you have bad seasons, to have any good games at all is just a blessing. Yes.
Like these are the fun memories. This is what breaks up the monotony of just getting your ass kicked every night. First of all, welcome in. Thank you. Appreciate you. Hell of a night to watch Blazers basketball. We kind of joked like this has an opportunity to be kind of a fun night if it goes the way we think it might go, which is defense optional. And a combined 260 plus points, damn near 280 total points combined tonight. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and just want to say welcome to everybody. Appreciate you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. Available wherever you get podcasts. Like, rate, review, do all of the things. And on top of that, if you're watching here on YouTube, if you're watching live, thank you. Appreciate you. If you're watching us on the replay, cool. That's fine too. We know not everybody can stay up late, but if you can do us a solid, click the subscribe button, help us grow the channel, share us with your friends. The more you subscribe, the more it helps us grow. It's free. It's easy. That expands the algorithm, the ever-changing YouTube algorithm. That's what helps us grow. So let's get right into it, man. Hell of a night. Hell of a performance. World-beating performance from Anfernee Simons tonight. And for those that didn't catch the post game, Anfernee's grandfather died last night, and Ant wanted to deflect any and all credit, support, everything, and Brooke really tried to no, Ant, this was you tonight. But as is Ant is wont to do, very family oriented. Just, the whole Simons family, Tamika, Charles, they've been nothing but great to me and my experience. They've been wonderful people. His grandfather passed away last night, and he said that was kind of where he was thinking about him all night long. And we've seen performances like this before from professional athletes, Brandon. The one I always go to as a Raiders fan is Brett Favre on Monday night.
Yep.
Beating the ever-loving hell out of the Raiders.
One of the more perfect games you've seen a quarterback ever play.
And Ant basically played basketball's perfect game tonight.
Yeah.
He shot the piss out of the ball. And realistically, he had, I think, 17 shots at halftime. He finished with 21. I was, for anybody who was watching the watch party, you were watching me scream and yell about Ant not getting the ball. Why is he going 6-7 possessions without getting not even a look, a touch? Nurk stressed me to the point of almost breaking. He
put the game away.
He had 3 straight dumpster fire possessions, and then he had 3 gorgeous possessions.
Yeah.
That is the Jusuf Nurkic experience in a nutshell. But we'll talk about Nurk a little bit later. But Ant, his overall game, Brandon, 13 of 21, 9 of 16, perfect 8 of 8. Shout out the free throws to help him get to the career high. Had 7 assists, 3 rebounds, only 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers being the primary guy, seeing doubles. I thought he got a little tight when they started throwing doubles at him really in the late in the third into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What's your number one takeaway tonight from Anfernee Simons' career night?
He probably should have 50. That's the craziest thing about it is we talk about the free throws put him over. There's no doubt. But to me, those free throws were just karma. To have that many possessions late of not getting the ball, especially when you're on a heater, you get 4 threes in a row. Shame on the Blazers for toying with the basketball gods there. I'm glad he got over 40. I'm glad he set a career high. those stories of doing it for a family member. I remember one that's pretty famous for me is Chris Paul scoring as many points as his grandfather lived and dedicating a game in high school to him. That's a cool story. Like, you get these once in a while and they're badass, but the Blazers needed this. They needed this in the worst way, not only to stop the bleeding of the season, but when you get a player of Trae Young's caliber that's in that kind of zone, you don't have what it takes defensively to stop him, and he damn near puts 60 on you. It's going to take a random, Anfernee Simons scored 43. It's going to take that performance to get a win like that. A lot of people did a really good job. Nas, we'll get to that.
Yep.
Nurk had some plays.
Norm had a night.
Norm had a night, but to me, Anfernee Simons won this game for them tonight, and you love to see that from young players.
It's kind of crazy. The starting lineup, 43, 21, 22, 26, and then 2 from Larry Nance Jr. 2.
Yeah.
Just kind of funny how it works out. Excuse me. Ant's first 2 shots of the night were threes that touched nothing but the bottom of the net. And I said on Twitter, it's going to be one of those Ant nights. You could just see it. Like, when Ant is cooking, when he is cooking, he is unlike anybody else in the NBA other than the upper echelon scorers. I've gone off this rant a few times. There's 10, 12 guys in the NBA who can score 20, 25 points in any given quarter. They just get hot. And you're just like, oh no. And Ant didn't force it at all tonight. I think he took up of his 21 shots, there was probably 2. There was one where he didn't shoot for basically 5 minutes after coming in on the fourth quarter. And there was one in the first half. I was like, maybe not that one. Other than that, they were all in the flow of the offense as the primary guy.
Yep.
These are the kind of moments when you look at an Anfernee Simons, not just the 43 points, but the confidence with which he plays, the skill level that he displays, Brandon, that has to at least give you confidence that that's a starting caliber 2 guard.
Oh, I mean, it does. And by the way, I just checked Twitter. Like, this is cool. Like, just side note from all the X's and O's and wins and losses stuff. It is really cool to see Ant get this kind of shine because it is all over Twitter right now. His dedication is being tweeted by every possible sports outlet right now. So I just wanted to make a side note, like, this is awesome. I love to see a young player get rewarded like this. He's had to really have some patience in his career here in Portland. And I know we've talked about it before, but how much of him as an asset versus him as a future piece where's Joe Cronin at on that, right? Because I think for everything you're saying, he's somebody that a game like tonight, we've seen him have other really good nights. It does make you wonder kind of how he could fit into a situation if you had the right pieces around him, Dame, etc. But I think that's the tough thing is you get these kind of performances, man. This guy's going to get paid.
He's getting $20 million.
I mean, it's anywhere from 18 to 20, no doubt.
I would not be surprised if somebody came over with a bigger offer of 21, 22. But he's going to land. Norm got 18. Ant will get 20. His offensive creation skill and his ability to knock down threes and his ability to just take over a game, that's a real thing. Let's talk about Nurk real quick.
Yeah.
Nurk had a game that was the full Nurk experience. And I don't want to take away from it because he sealed things out, but I wanted to strangle the life out of him. For a large portion of that game, he was out of control. He was whining at the refs. He wasn't getting back on defense. Clint Capella finished 10 of 10 from the field.
Yeah.
They consistently lost him while also they lost Capella while also Trae Young just continued cooking. It was one of those situations where if Trae's going to cook, you got to take away the other stuff.
Yeah.
You can't let Clint Capella just catch lob after lob after lob after lob.
I think Herter got 18 or 20 too. So
yeah. So they did a poor job on basically everybody.
This is not a game won by defense.
No. You had 56 from Trae, 22 from Capella, and a perfect 10 of 10 from the field. And Herter finished with 18 on 8 of 16. Thankfully, Gallinari was 3 of 14.
Yeah, he missed a lot of big shots. Lou Will had a miserable night. DeLon Wright had a couple moments where had he hit that shot, like, you know what I mean? But Games like this, that's what it boils down to. Portland was hot and played well tonight, and Atlanta just didn't have those two possessions that they can make a bucket with.
Yeah, Blazers shot 53, 44, 86, while the Hawks shot 55, 34, 87. The Blazers getting to the free throw line late in the game kind of sealed that and made up that difference. Blazers finished with only 9 turnovers to 10 steals, plus in the steal to turnover category. That
really active.
Massive night. And if you look, Powell was the beneficiary. 4 steals for him, 4 steals for Cove. Yep. Opportunistic, getting in at the right time. I thought Trendon Watford came in his 10 minutes and did really well. But back to Nurk. Nurk finishes with 21, 12, and 5, including 5 offensive boards, 8 of 18 from the field. A significant amount, I would say the majority of Jusuf Nurkic's shots tonight. The shot selection was awful. Even the ones he made were bad. He had 2 shots in the final 4 minutes where you're just like, what the hell was that shot? Where he stepped through and kind of flopped and threw it up at the rim and it banked it in. But he also had some incredibly strong finishes tonight, Brandon, where he really leaned in. My biggest criticism of Jusuf Nurkic really post-injury is his lack of physicality. He beat the shit out of Clint Capella tonight. And Trae Young late in the game when he flattened him on a drive. This was the first time in a very long time, Brandon, where you felt Jusuf Nurkic's physical presence the entire game.
Yeah. Well, I thought he looked like a guy that had been out for 4 or 5 games. You know what I mean? Like he looked like a really fresh body that was ready to go. I think, watching Clint Capella also kind of brings out sometimes that inner Bosnian beast that we all crave to see.
Talking a fair amount of shit.
I know it wasn't the possessions you and I dream of at the end of a ball game, but there is sometimes an element of Nurk that when the big dude is calling for it,
he wants it.
He really, really wants it. And he doesn't get those opportunities often. I'd still rather Ant shoot tonight based on how he was playing. But even if we were kind of like, Nurk was able to hit a couple of those big shots at the end there and really take it to Clint Capella. I mean, he really physically beat the living hell out of him.
Capella's no slouch.
No, he had 1 block that was changed to a charge. He had another block that he really laid into Capella on.
And he backed into him all
night using that big body.
And that's what you want the 290-pound, 7-foot dude to do. If he's not going to dunk, fine.
Yeah,
I have crossed that bridge. He's just not going to do it. But if you can play below the rim and beat some dudes up, put some shoulders into guys, put some butts into guys, really punish guys over and over and over and stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah.
How many minutes did he finish with tonight? 26.
He played a lot more than I thought he did, yeah.
That's about 8 more minutes than I thought he would get. I thought he'd be between 18 and 20 coming back. 4 fouls, 2 of them offensive. Yep. 1 on a pick, 1 of them on a charge. I thought this game was poorly officiated on multiple levels.
Awful. It was awful.
Ant couldn't touch anybody without getting a foul. And then I watched Trendon Watford and Norman Powell both beat the hell out of guys on drives and not get any calls against them. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to complain. It was just a poorly officiated game on multiple levels. But Nurk, just the full Nurk experience. You seesaw it up and down. Poor shots, making poor shots, getting offensive rebounds, going back up and forcing stuff that he had no business forcing, but still figured it out. But physicality.
Well, and I think the other thing that I want to highlight, because I don't want to forget this thought, watching Nance, Powell, Nas, Ant, and Nurk play was really good basketball.
It was fun basketball.
It was fun, entertaining basketball. It wasn't perfect. They had a lot of bad possessions, but they were hitting their shots. They were moving the ball, especially early in that game.
Even when they weren't
really
hitting their
moving.
Shots, the ball was popping.
Yes, it was getting really good looks for guys like Ben McLemore off the bench, Bob Covington, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I just enjoyed tonight watching those 5 players play tonight.
It's just, what a weird night, man. And again, welcome everybody who's in here. I'm glad to see that we're getting a few more people than we normally get after these last 2-3 weeks of really, let's be honest, was a shit show for the Blazers.
Yeah.
Some of the worst basketball I have seen. It is the worst basketball I have seen covering this team, which is 9 years.
Yep.
And easily the worst basketball I have seen since I got out of the Air Force, which is 2007. So,
boy, that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, 14 years. It was the worst brand of basketball I've seen this team play. You got energy, you had effort, you had people doing what they needed to do. It was fun, and a big part of that, we've talked about Nurk, we've talked about Ant. Something that I have seen a few people talk about. If you haven't already caught it, Nassir Little sat down with Chris Haynes, talked about his opportunity coming forward and then a breakout. And I'm going to ask the question, Nassir Little, is this a breakout? Is this a breakout performance? Another 20-plus point night, nearly 10 rebounds again when he had real opportunity, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 14, and what was huge, 4 of 5 from 3.
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable calling it a breakout. It's a breakout in the sense of he probably had more points and had a better game than many people thought he would. But I like to use that term breakout. I need to see this consecutively. Now, not 22 and 9, not exactly the same game, but if you can string along some consistency somewhat close to this, then I think you look back and you go, that was a breakout game, right? The same way that we announced at Ant was a true scoring guard was that Sacramento game years ago. And I know he got buried on the bench when they brought Melo in, but like that was a, whoa, shit, this dude can get buckets night. And that's a breakout game. Good game from Nas. Really good game from Nas. Probably not going to get talked about enough because of the night Ant had. But if he can piece together 3, 4, 5 of these kind of games, I think you look back to tonight and say, hey, he got it started that night against Atlanta.
Last 6 games for Nassir Little, 12 points, 8 rebounds.
Yeah. And I think when we talked about this preseason, where would he be?
We were like 10 and 6.
Yeah, I think it was it was somewhere around there. It was like 10 to 12. Like that's what you wanted from him.
That was like, hey, that's a good season from Nassir Little. That's above expectations. We were talking about Anfernee Simons. We said, listen, 12 and 4, that's a good season for Anfernee Simons. If he bumps into that 14, 15, 16 point range, then you're sitting there going, shit, you're cooking with gas.
Right.
The team aspects of that kind of gets thrown out the window with how the team has been playing, and probably will play for the rest of the season, if we're being honest. But talking to a few people around the league during the game tonight, watching this game, they all kind of said the same thing. If Portland tanks this season, and they just say, Ant and Nas, you're getting 30-plus a night, and they make some changes to the roster where you're really featuring those guys more, that may be the most beneficial thing that could happen to this team outside of getting a coveted top 5 draft pick.
Well, absolutely, because then you're creating 2 new assets. I mean, you're giving yourself, and you don't have to move those assets, by the way. But if you're in that avenue where you're not going to the play-in game, nor do you think it's worth it, Dame shuts it down, that draft pick's going to stay in your hands because it's top 14 protected. You might as well give those 2 dudes, and they're going to have a couple games that they're going to end up winning just off sheer talent that they have.
You saw it tonight. You had, 65 points between the 2 of them tonight?
65 in a game where you needed all 65 because you had no defense, and neither did Atlanta. But I think you so much more. Oh, sorry about that.
You're still halfway there. And now you're completely gone.
No, I'm completely gone.
Now you're back.
Okay. I don't know. I can't touch it. It's just 2 new assets. It's new assets that you can create urgency for with other teams saying, oh, there's a talented 6'5" young wing. Oh, there's a talented 6'4" scoring guard that we don't have. Like, those are really good benefits for you.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if you want to draw the loose parallels to the Warriors 2 years ago, when Jordan Poole is getting burned, where Andrew Wiggins is getting worked into the system, where it just didn't matter what their record was. It doesn't matter. It was about getting those other guys on board, getting them real burn, getting them real live reps that matter. Because all of a sudden, we know these guys can play. Now, how much can they play? And how high is that ceiling? And how much can you trust that guy? whether you're Terry Stotts or you're Chauncey Billups, what happens in tight situations with any coach in the NBA? Do they play the guys with the most talent, or do they play the guys that they trust the most?
Oh, it's trust. NBA is all about trust.
There's a lot of guys in this league that are super talented that can't get on the floor because you can't trust them.
Cam Reddish on the Atlanta Hawks is kind of one of them.
Yeah, because he's so volatile.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this team right now, I don't want to talk about tanking or any of that stuff tonight. I want to enjoy the fun. I want to enjoy the goodness that was given to us tonight, because we haven't got a ton of it. But if you're talking 30,000-foot view right now, you celebrate this, you enjoy this, you live in this moment, and you go, it sure would be nice to watch 30-plus more games of that the rest of the season. And it's not to say that Nas and Ant won't have some stinkers between now and then. They will. 100% they will. But figuring out who they are, what they are, and where they're going to be, that's a big difference, man. That's a big, big difference. Just want to welcome everybody in real quick. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. If you are here watching live, click subscribe. Help us grow the channel. Help us grow the algorithm. That's how this all works. I've seen a bunch of you have actually left a bunch of reviews on the podcast lately on Apple, and thank you. That helps us grow a ton. I'm seeing some debate back and forth whether or not Nasir Little is a 2 or a 3. He is a 2-3. Nas himself has said he is a 2-3. Yeah. He can swing up to some 4, but he is a 2-3. He's very big for the 2. He's about right for the 3. Long term, I would like to see Nas get some more burn at the 2 because of the pressure that puts on opposing defenses. Because the Hawks tried to play something cute tonight, Brandon, that I thought was really fun. They tried to hide Trae Young on Nas for the first couple possessions, and they're like, oh, Portland's going to throw it to Nas and beat the ever-living hell out of Trae Young on the block. We're not going to let that happen anymore. You can see Nas was like, no, let's do this some more. I like this.
I got a 5'11", 185-pound dude on me right now.
Yeah, and Nas is every bit of 6'6", 225.
You know, it reminded me tonight watching it go, and you talked about getting to the point where the young guys play. You know, if we get there, great. Mm-hmm. If they get there, though, it's going to remind me of the 2015 series against Memphis, where you knew that Portland was getting out, but CJ
got his burn.
CJ got all that burn, and he started cooking, and you were like, you know, this sucks getting your ass kicked, but caveat is we got to see CJ McCollum kind of get some buckets and maybe feel better about what his future
saw Myers. Is. You saw Myers have
you did
stretch the floor and really bother Marc Gasol. What's really funny about that, not to get too distracted, the marketing branding leading into that season was the 3-headed monster of Dame, CJ, and Myers. That was the marketing push. It was those 3 guys. It's kind of funny where things ended up.
No wonder when LaMarcus wanted to leave.
Well, that was because LaMarcus left.
Dame, CJ, and Myers. What?
It was a fun time to be a Trailblazers fan, because it was just so weird. Not LaMarcus leaving. That part of it sucked, but just what was up in the air. Shout out to everybody real quick who went to the game tonight. I saw that 100 level tickets were as much as $30, or as little as $30. I hope everybody who had the opportunity took it up for what had to have been an absolutely bonkers game to go to.
These games in the grand scheme don't matter. You're never going to forget tonight's game.
No.
It will be an all-time. I went to this game.
You don't get to see guys drop 50 pieces. That doesn't happen.
Or get Ant going for 43.
I have literally been to 1,000 games in my lifetime. I've seen like 450 pieces live. You don't see that.
Dame against Golden State, the last game before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It was his first, he got into the 50s. He broke the record. I'd never been that drunk and that rabid as a fan ever in my life. That, I'll always remember that memory too. They beat the living shit out of the Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. And that place was going, we didn't care that we knew the Warriors were better. We didn't care.
But in that moment, man, it was a blast.
In that moment, it was all Portland, man. Dame going off. You couldn't stop him.
Steve Blake's, was it his 15 assists in the first quarter? I think it was against Orlando. That was a random season game where it's like, why not? Let Steve Blake just carve you up in one quarter, in the first quarter.
The Andre Miller Dallas game. I mean, dear God.
The 52-point game that saw Andre Miller's breakaway tomahawk dunk against Denver. Remember
Yeah.
that one with the
Yes.
leaning tomahawk? It
Yes.
was like, and then Dre was talking about post game. Yeah, no, I just had to show that I still had it. And it was like, what? How does he? No, I don't. These are those nights, man. And I know I get the downer Danny label, but this is what I'm trying to talk about. If you give me something fun to talk about, I am going to talk about the fun stuff. This was a fun night. Bask in it, enjoy it. This is just stupid fun basketball. I am not going to sit here and critique the defense. I am not going to sit here and argue about this, that, or the other. Did Nurk drive me crazy? Yes, he did. He absolutely did. But at the end of the night, he made a ton of it. Just unbelievable plays around the rim. And he had a little bit of swagger. He talked some trash, got some guys worked up, got Trae kind of into it, and maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But, man, it was fun.
Well, I mean, I think nights like this, you can't really nitpick anyway. Like, you knew early that this team and Atlanta, they were not in on playing defense. They basically were like, don't care. Let's get buckets. And Portland was able to match that energy. I have zero complaints about what tonight's game was. We could nitpick, but I just don't think it's not worth it. This team's not good enough. They don't win enough. So for them to win a game outright and be able to topple a player of Trae Young's stature who gets 56.
56 and 14. Don't get it twisted.
To be able to win that, I'd love to see the all-time players that have had at least 55 and 10.
Oh no.
And what their win-loss is.
All right, I was like, oh no, he's gonna go. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Yikes! The last time that happened, Damian Lillard against the Denver Nuggets, and
that's right, on 24 shots. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't happen very often.
It's happened twice in the past 6 months with the Portland Trailblazers. No, the past year with the Portland Trailblazers. It is. It's a fun night, man. Shout out to Anfernee Simons and his family, though. Obviously, losing their grandfather to cancer, it's never a fun deal. But to have the performance of a lifetime like he did tonight, and he really, really should have had a 50-piece. I kind of want to bother him about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Couldn't get 50. Couldn't get 7 more.
Couldn't force that one. I want to give Norm Powell his shine tonight because he balled the hell out. 9 of 13. His only real misses came from three. He was 2 of 5, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 26 points.
Yeah.
Norm had put up some stinky McStinkertons the last couple weeks. He looked like he had fun playing basketball tonight.
Yeah. It's amazing what sharing the basketball and playing with guys who give a damn does for you.
The give, like even early on, right? The give a damn factor was high.
There's just there was just such an air of selflessness that they played with.
Yes.
And I don't know how you attribute that. Like, this
do you think it had anything to do with how they started the game, going to Nas on the post against Trae, like finding like instead of like, hey, it's gonna be Nurk or it's gonna be Dame, it's like, hey, we're gonna attack a mismatch and like maybe even if you miss the shot, you're gonna get a little bit of amp out of it. Like, oh shit, they're hunting Trae.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think the other part too, Danny, is this team is pretty easy to read. When they come out and they're down early and another team is like getting easy buckets on them, they pack it in mentally. When they come out and they're able to hit a team quick, Phoenix early this season, the one you kind of poo-pooed, the Memphis game early, like they've had some games where when they come out and they're aggressive and they get off to a good start, okay, now we're engaged. We're in this. They get down early and it's Dallas, it's Utah. It's like, nah.
And it was in LA, it was what, 16-2?
Yeah, I mean, 16-2 was, yeah, the game was just over. Like that. They were ready for New Year's.
And anyway, they started this game off, what, 9-0?
9-0. I think they were up 18-9. It got to that point.
The offense does dictate kind of how they go, where they go.
It's everything for them because they don't have defense to rely on. No. So it's like if they can come out and start 3 of 4, 4 for 5,
it fuels the other side of the ball.
Yeah, and you feel like generally, whether they win or lose, you feel like they're at least going to be around that the entire way.
And they did make a ton of mental mistakes tonight defensively, but I felt like the effort was there. I felt like they were trying to communicate. And one of the things I saw Nance doing a ton of tonight was a lot of a lot of what we saw early on in the season. Hey, you need to be here. You need to be here. And I felt like the communication really the last couple of weeks had just completely died off. Like guys were just like, you're not going to do it anyways. I don't care.
Yeah.
And some of that went out the door. That overall, man, it's fun to sit here and talk about a game with a smile on my face.
Yeah. It was a great game to watch too. I'm glad everybody that was able to jump in on the watch party got to do that because that was a lot of fun.
It's a lot. We haven't been able to do one of those in a win.
No, the last one was pretty depressing, but to be able to get a win out of that, to watch Ant, your guy, go off, to watch Trae Young. I mean, I'm a sick basketball fan. I will root for the team, but if you're going to give me a performance of 40 or more points, I'm also going to be kind of giddy, especially and giddy.
When he threw that one off the glass, you and I were losing our collective shit.
When he got to 56 by just heaving that loud, I was just like, oh, I love it. I love watching that kind of basketball.
Yeah, it was a fun night, man. So for everybody who did get to come into the watch party, we appreciate you. If you guys want to take part in the watch parties, all you got to do is subscribe to the membership here on Jack Ramsays at YouTube. That opens you up to the link, and it's opened up to 200 people. So the first couple nights we did them, we had like around 100. Obviously, with the run of play from the Trailblazers recently, not a ton of interest in Trailblazers basketball, so we've been down around 40 or so. But listen, man, this is the beauty of 82 games, is that you have the ability to really put things together. And shout out my boss here in the chat, Kevin Hamlin, and is the future Blazers as potentially Damian 2.0. He can hear me in my my COVIDness getting over this, but this has been fun, man. I have legitimate. We actually talked about this today. I went into work for the first time in a couple of weeks recovering, and I told him, I'm like, it's a bummer to cover this team right now. It is not fun doing these pre and post game shows. Honestly, they've been a drag the last couple weeks.
Well, I wanted to mix it up today. I thought, you know what? I don't want to just get on with just me and you and be like, the Hawks tonight. So I'm like, let's get somebody in.
Bring in the homie. Bring in Andy Bunker.
Let's just loosen it up, change the vibes. Maybe that'll translate to the team.
It worked.
And it did. It worked. We told Bunker the Hawks were going to kill him, and boy, we couldn't have been more wrong. We got to get. That's the key, man. We just got to get more guys in the pregame. So I'll see what I can do about scheduling some more pregame guests. We'll get out of here in a few minutes. A little bit of business real quick. The Miami Heat are coming to town next on Wednesday night, and unfortunately for the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler rolled his ankle pretty seriously. Had to be helped off the court by a couple of guys. Was not putting pressure on it. If it's not broken, it looked like one of the high ankle sprain varieties. It was not good. So there's a strong possibility that the Heat are not going to. I'll go out on a limb and say Jimmy Butler ain't playing Wednesday. No, he's out, bro. I would be stunned if he played.
When you roll an ankle that bad and then get on a plane to fly cross country, it doesn't not swell up.
Yep.
So, bummer, because I'm a massive Jimmy Butler fan. Brendan Dunbar is asking, who the hell is Bunker? The glorious Andy Bunker, formerly of another radio station in town that Brandon Sprague does not work for.
You can say it's okay.
He was at Rip City. 620 early on, and honestly, it is responsible really for me being here right now.
I met Andy Bunker in my internship in Seattle, 2009.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, my first internship was in Seattle. He was running the Comcast TV switchboard for the Softy show, and he'd get in there at like 7 a.m. That's how I met him. Yeah,
that's small world, man.
Super small world.
Back when the Blazers broadcasting was stealing my stuff off Twitter for the pregame show and content throughout the game, Bunker noticed that, that's weird. The exact same stuff the Blazers broadcasting is showing during their show is the same stuff that Meringue's tweeting earlier in the day. Maybe we should get him on to talk Blazers. And that's where I started doing podcasts back in 2012? Late 2012, early 2013.
He was. I think he left in 13 or 14.
Yeah, so it was. He had been on air with Danforth for like 3 months, maybe. Like they were still really new, and but yeah, Bunker had me on, and that was kind of where it all started. So if you want to blame anybody, Andy Bunker.
Shout out Andy Bunker.
He's the guy to blame. He's the reason we had him on tonight is because he's working in Atlanta for 92.9 The Game. So he covers Atlanta sports very well. He's been down there. God, he's been down there almost 10 years now, it seems like. Just crazy how fast time flies. But yeah, Bunker's the homie. Appreciate it. If you guys want, you guys can go catch the pregame. It was a fun conversation with Andy, just talking about Atlanta, where they're at, how it kind of Trae Young's early years are kind of mimicking.
Smells Portlandy.
Smells Portlandy. Not putting the right guys around him quite just yet. Maybe
saying our guys are going to be the guys to win it. We don't need to make a move yet. Like, smells very reminiscent.
So they've got a smarter GM than the Blazers had in their time period. So hopefully they can make a consolidation trade, because I like to see good teams get better.
Yeah.
We will be back Wednesday for the pre and post game show against the Miami Heat. Obviously, sans Jimmy Butler. I will effort one of the Heat guys that I know, or I'll just shout out to Nekias Duncan. He owes me one, so I'll see if I can get Nekias on, because he loves talking Heat basketball, and I want to pick his brain on Portland, because I don't know how much time he's dedicated to watching this complete meltdown over the last couple of weeks.
We should put Nekias. We should give him a dos minutos. He gets 2 minutes to tell us why the Miami Heat will win the championship.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? Have a countdown clock.
I like that. I'll see if I can effort a little digital clock action.
You start it. You know, you do the dos minutos. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I mean, you can't hear it, but I can also do the.
Yeah, there you go. Do that.
I can do that, and I can also go ahead and grab. I could probably. He probably has that trademarked.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I can go steal it anyways. We'll see what happens.
Everybody shouts it out.
Just don't ever play any of the Buffer Brothers stuff on
no.
YouTube, because they will sue you.
They will get money.
On that note, guys, we will get out of here. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate you. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Help us grow the show. Thank you all for being a part of this. It has been awesome. It is great to get back to a Blazers win and enjoy a fun, good time. Anfernee Simons, new career high, 43 points. Nassir Little keeps it going. Jusuf Nurkic, the frustration and the glory all in one. Norm Powell getting back on track. It was just a fun night, and hopefully we can see a lot more of this, particularly from the young guys in the coming future. And we'll have you guys covered for the pre and post game show. We will probably roll at 5:30 like we normally do. Until then, on social media, at Jack Ramsays, at Danny Meringue, at Brandon Sprague. We will catch you guys then. Take care, stay safe, and we will talk